Well, I'm glad you said that. The Dagda, member for 29 months. Thank you very much. The battle reports are superb at the moment. I'm glad you said that because I was a bit worried actually. In the background, there's been a lot of games recently where I haven't done the Prior Nexus thing. I haven't gone for the tournament thing. And whether you like Heresy or 40k comes down to what you prefer playing. If you like competitive gaming, then 40k is definitely the one for you. If you like more narrative wargaming, then Horus Heresy is better for you. And if you like both, then they're both good for you. And I've been doing a lot of narrative recently. Not any of the sweaty stuff. And I quite like the sweaty stuff. I like the sweaty stuff too. I like them both. And you say the battle reports are superb at the moment. So I appreciate it because I can't remember. It's been a few weeks since we put up the scoring on the primary, scoring on the secondary, scoring on all the weekend one, for example, the one with Sultan. I really enjoyed that one. You know, the Death Guard versus Sisters. So hi Sullivan Gilbert, hi Friendly Neighbourhood Inquisitor, hi the Dagda, hi Y, hi Niall Walsh. Painting rubrics and loving your last battle report with Sultan, yeah. It was a good one, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that one. I was thinking before I came on, like, I almost put the title like the best game of Warhammer ever, but that's like really clickbaity. And I was going to ask you about your best game of Warhammer ever and talk about some of the best games of Warhammer I've ever played. And I think the one on Sunday was a really good one. Blood Buffalo's delivering mail in the Buffalo rain. Nice. Hi Inchin, thanks for hopping in. But yeah, I'm glad you liked the Sunday one. The Sunday one, it was all... When you don't do the primary secondary thing and just focus on a narrative, the game can sing quite well, can't it? It's good. With the March of War.co.uk, scenery running down it, not just the buildings, but the bunkers and the statues and the things and the barricade lines. Damn, that guy's got talent, makes some lovely scenery. So that's what I was doing. That's what I was thinking of starting the video with, like best game of war. But that's too clickbait. That's not my style. That's not my bag, baby. Hi, Weasel. And Rough and Ready loved the old school Beaky report. You see, that one was good as well. That was an old school Beaky report, but it was with the primaries and secondaries and thing like that. I think you technically won the Sunday game. You have sticky objectives, don't you, with Nurgle? Technically, I do have sticky objectives with Nurgle, but I think I said at the beginning of the game, someone commented it actually, didn't you win that? You have sticky objectives. The answer to that is, I said at the beginning, he who controls the objectives at the end of the game gets the points. So you need to control them. And I should have also mentioned, so the sticky thing won't really kick in unless I'm actually on the objective. So yeah, but the narrative was much better, which is, I mean, I clearly lost, but it wasn't a loss because a saint fell. You know what I mean? Island, it does rain. Played an open war deck game. You know, Badger King, it's one of the things I regret because I often, when another edition comes around, I often turf out a lot of the old stuff, like the Maelstrom. I should have kept the open war deck. I should have kept the old... Hi, Greg. Eternal Crusade is cleaning resin prints. Resin printing a brr. Yeah, it was. Thanks, Tinchin. It's a very good game. Yeah, you've got to control them at the end. So sticky objectives, does that mean you really control them at the end? I'm not sure it does. What is coming up on the PC? Go away. Don't want to talk to you. Are you still here? Is everyone here? Is everyone okay? Hi, and welcome to the Talky Tuesday live stream, Yo Journ, with me, Winters SEO, the No Retreat Legends champion. Maelstrom of War is fab. I know, like I'm trying to see the top 3 videos thing that I made, like the top 3 videos that Warhammer 40k needs. I'm kind of hoping someone at Games Workshop, like, I'm not your dad, but thanks. I miss Maelstrom. I'm kind of hoping that someone at Games Workshop watches that, because there is absolutely no reason why they can't have their season pass, Leviathan, then Pariah Nexus, then Cadia, whatever comes next. They can have their season pass once a year, every year, updating thing for tournament play. And I like that. I like the fact that it's updated. I like to get sweaty every now and then. But at the same time, they could be a Maelstrom deck and an open war deck. they used to think that there was good. It was good that there was multiple ways of playing Warhammer 40k. Do you remember that open narrative matched? They thought it was a good idea, but now they don't think it's a good idea. I wonder if Pardo will ever run another event like the No Retreat Legends where it gets all the content creators. Probably not. It was like herding cats. It was very difficult to actually bring about, and it was delayed many times due to pandemics. We all survived. Do you remember the Great Pandemic? We survived the Great Pandemic. Here we are, survivors all. Blood Buffalo. I've got the Auric Champions Custodes box set and a Trajan Valoris. Look, that sort of, there it is. There, need that on. At around, what do I buy? Dawn Eagle jet bikes, Alaris Terminators, or some Wardens. Right. Okay. So you're talking about 40k hammers. You're at around 1,500 points. You got the Auric Champions and Trajan Valoris. I want to say Dawn Eagle jet bikes because you need some speed, but they go down quick for the points, so they're not the wave. Hi Adam. What chat? Anyone in Custodes who would add to blood? I mean, I like Terminators. I like some Terminators deep striking in. They're tanky. They're very shooty as well with their Uzi grenade launchers. There's some nice strats that you can pop on them. I'd probably bring some Terminators if it was me. Hi Alex. Thank you. Any chance of more old world content? I did film one recently, but it's probably going up for members because it's Brap's first game. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I'll probably go up for members. That's the only one that I filmed recently. I'm hoping to get some more old world content at some point. But any chance of... Yeah, there's always a chance. You know? There's always a chance. You've got to believe. I believe that there will be some more content at some point. When that point is, I don't know. It came with 6 bikes and Terminators. Oh, then just Custodes. Just bring normal Custodes and add Custodes to your Custodes. More units of dudes walking around. If you have redundant units that can move block or do actions in the corners or things like that, more units of Terminators wandering around. One guy wanted to go down the pub all the time. What? At No Retreat? Nah. Nah. What, you talking about me at No Retreat? Jern N. I wasn't going down the pub all the time. The pub was there. It was on a battle barge in the bar. You couldn't escape the beer. In my case, cider. Beer does horrible things to my intestines. You don't want to be anywhere near me the next day. If I've consumed that amount of yeast in the morning, it all comes out. It's a bit like stamping on a bottle of shampoo or something. It just goes everywhere. You don't know. So I'm more of a cider drinker these days. I live in the West Country, so it kind of fits in. Something happened to my bowels during the depression era of my life, and it's never fully recovered. Do you know what I mean? I'm not fond of Eldar. Young King, have you ever wanted to absolutely destroy an opponent before? Have I ever... That's a good question. Have I ever... I don't know. Don't drink shampoo. No. Have I ever wanted to absolutely destroy an opponent before? A couple of times, but in jest, you know, like having a fun laugh with a mate. I'm going to destroy it. But I haven't really, no, not in my soul, ever absolutely wanted to destroy an opponent. There are occasions when I did tournaments back in 5th and 6th edition, did loads of tournaments back then. And of course, No Retreat Legends. There are those occasions where I really wanted to win because I'm at a tournament. But winning and destroying your opponent is not the same thing. I would say that the best games of Warhams that you ever have, or the best games of Scrabble, or the best games of Monopoly, or the best games of Naked Twister while slathered head to toe in marmalade, the best games that you ever have are the ones where your opponent is also having the best games. When you're both laughing and having fun and slathered in marmalade, you're both laughing and having fun. If you play a game of Warhams and your opponent wants to destroy you, or you want to destroy them, and someone's upset, and you're thinking it, and you're throwing dice, tipping tables, that's not a fun game. It's all this win-win-win, beat mentality. it's all very American to me. Do you remember when we used to play games just to play? Americans love to win. They're and the tournament scene is very, very big there. They win. And I'm not casting dispersions on all Americans. That's like different cultures have different sensibilities. That permeates a bit through America. What permeates through Britain is our absolute pessimism and our ability not to cheer on any kind of success. We run down people who are successful. Oh, you're good at that, are you? You know, we're just miserable. We're miserable old gits over here. America, though, that's a good thing and a bad thing. But where do I get? And you know, Australians, they're just like 12-year-old kids running around the pool, throwing frisbees in each other's face and completely ignoring health and safety. The Germans, they love their health and safety. Anyway, vast generalizations. But do you remember playing for the sake of playing to have fun? I remember playing to have fun. I like games that are fun, and the best kind of games are the games where your opponents have the most fun and you have the most, and you're laughing and you're joking and you're covered in marmalade. The best games are the ones that make you play the game again. Exactly, Jonah. See, one of the things I've got stuck in my head is you can't win 100% of your games, but you can have fun in 100% of your games by ensuring that your opponent has the most fun in their games. And then you win every single game. Blood Buffalo, all the way from America. Thank you for your donation. Not win. Sounds a little God Save the King to me. Yeah, I love the American exceptionalism attitude to win, to be the best, it's great. It's great, particularly as it's completely polar opposite and we're talking generalizations here. The general America mindset is generally on the other polar scale of the UK mindset, which is, you know, don't stick your head too far out. The tallest nail gets hammered, that sort of thing. It's kind of depressing, really, now that I think about it. Who brought this up? Damn you. Hi, Amu Panura. I'm in America and personally hate the win or not having fun type of players. I just want to play narrative or silly, fluffy list games. Yeah, a vast generalization. There are plenty of UK players that love to win, and there are plenty of American players that love playing the narrative, silly, fluffy list games. There's room for everyone in this big old world. The Imperium is full of many different types of people. So long as we all unite and believe in the imperial truth and follow the Emperor of Mankind out into the galaxy and destroy all the witches and the psykers and the mutants and the heretics, and we'll be fine. How are you going to pay for your bold? Oh, we don't have bald eagles over here. There are no bald eagles. All of our eagles have got lots of hair on their heads. They're fine. They're flapping away all over the place. Mainly in Scotland, which I hear is a lovely place, but I've never been there. Yeah, I need to go to Scotland at some point. It's supposed to be nice. Yeah, what are we talking about? Anyway, hi chat. What are we talking about? Chat, how are you? How are you this evening? Did you see the game on Sunday? And by the game on Sunday, I mean the Warham's games, not the other games. Have you heard of the Lord and Saviour Sigmar? I have heard of the Sigmar dude. Yes, he's yes, the Sigmars. On that note, by the way, anyone who's watching this now, or anyone who's watching this later in the VOD squad later on, I want to thank people for using the element code. That is it. If you're in the Discord, there's the element link. Go through the link. And then I've got, in all my videos, I've got like a bookmark. So if you go to element codes through that bookmark link and buy your hobby supplies through Element Games using the code WIN13. You don't have to use the code, but if you use the code WIN13, you get extra crystals which equate to 5% off of your purchase, which ramp up over time. And if I get 5%, that's how the affiliation code works. Anyway, everyone who is using the element link, I appreciate you, because the Sigma thing reminded me, like Sigma came out recently and I saw a little surge, like the amount of crystals that I get to buy some stuff because I was looking at buying a bunch of Contemptor Dreadnoughts and a bunch of other things. And I also need to buy a bunch of Astra Militarum tanks for Sultan because I'm feeding him Astra Militarum to paint, and he's putting some of these on his channel. I'm basically trying to pull Sultan bit by bit, dragging and screaming into the Heresy because he loves Space Marines. He's an Imperial fanboy at heart. He loves 40k as well, and I just know he'll love the solar stuff. He will love the Space Marines. So I spent like was it 300 and something quid on element crystals to get him and I need to get him some more stuff. So anyone who's using the Element bookmark link to go and get their stuff, I think Sigmar came out recently, and a bunch of you have clearly got the Sigmars because there was an uptick in the amount of my crystals, and it really helps. Really helps. So thank you, all of those things. You do love the Element code. Good. Reading Heresy stuff is going down on Calth. Never trust a word bearer. No. Am I tempted by AoS? No. In your most wanted mini video, you've been missing the SM Lieutenant. Yes. Wolfheart Angbar. Yeah, I should have. The top 3 miniatures that Games Workshop needs to make are a lieutenant on a rock, a lieutenant on a motorbike, a lieutenant on a bird flying through the sky, like a lieutenant held aloft by eagles flapping through the sky. They need 3 more lieutenants, don't they? Or lieutenant if you're French or American. Yeah. But no, I mean, again, that video was like, those are the 3 that I really want. I really want a plastic super heavy tank. Why they haven't got a plastic Titanic unit in 40k blows my mind. I know there's the resin ones. And why you can't get the Emperor of Mankind and Malkador. You can get all the Primarchs. Why can't you get the Emperor of Mankind and Malkador? It just blows my mind. If they release them tomorrow, I would buy them tomorrow. You know what I mean? Lieutenant under a rock, exactly. New plastic Thunderhawk. I mean, that's a Space Marine Titanic. I'll buy it. I'll get that. I'll get it. Good evening, Dustin. Yeah, Sigmar. I mean, does anyone in the chat actually play Sigmar? One in the chat if you play Sigmar. The Space Marines are under. Bye, Young King. Bye. You've got to go back to work. Space Marines are definitely underrepresented. Well, the problem is the Space Marine range sells more than all the other ranges put together. So, Space Marines. When little Timmy starts playing Warhammer 40k, he doesn't go straight in on the Slaneshi demons. 9 times out of 10, Space Marines. That's what I did. And they're blue. They started off blue back in the day because Space Marines were blue. There weren't any red ones when I started yet. They were blue on the box art, so I painted them blue. And then yellow ones and green ones and the Legion of the Damned and all that. So a couple of you actually play AoS. You play AoS with your 7-year-old legend hobbying god you, passing it down to the next generation. Well done. Yeah, AoS. So it's just about all I can do to keep all the Warhams in my head from 40k and Heresy. And you've seen my battle reports, and quite a bit of it spills out of my head, often mid-game. I might remember a rule one turn and then forget a rule another turn. I've been trying to address that quite a lot these days by having the books around me all day. But also, what I'm trying to do is play a couple of games with the same faction. So I'll play a couple of Death Guard in a row. Then I'll play a couple of Necrons in a row. Then I'll play a couple of Orcs in a row and try and split it up over time. And then you guys keep asking me like, hey, can you go and do AdMech? Or can you go back and do Custodians? Or you can go back and I'm trying to go back and do some other things, or the Knights or the Grey Knights. But then they release something for the AdMech, and then they release something for the Necrons, then they release something for Orcs. And I'm like, well, I want to go back to that and see what that does. And I think the problem is there's every single unit has got a rule now, and half of the rules are exactly the same, but they've got 7 different names and they're worded differently. So that makes it harder, the 40Ks. Heresy is harder to learn originally, but once you get there, it's easier to keep in your head because it doesn't change. It's stable. The points stay the same. And your las cannon is my las cannon. Your artificer armor is my artificer armor. It's all the same. What you've got, I've got, with some very small Legion exceptions, but it's different in 40k. So that harder at the beginning. In the beginning, AoS, a third system. A third system, AoS. And I did go to, I've said it on live streams before, I did go to the Warham's World a couple of years ago with my friends. We brought loads of money with us and we went up to Nottingham and we spent time inside the gallery where all the miniatures are painted with the intention of coming away with 4 different AoS armies, and we ended up spending it all on the 40Ks. And a bit in Forge World store. But I really tried to find something. It's about the miniatures, right? Leaping out. And I mean, I like guns. I like lance cannons. I like, I like explosions. That's why I only play 40k and AoS, 2 armies each. Too much to keep up with beyond that. I know. And I do this full time, and keeping up with it, it's hard for me, let alone you guys who've got real jobs in the real world doing real things, and children, and some of you herd sheep, some of you are delivering letters in the buffalo rain, some of you are tripping the light fandango and cartwheeling across the floor, and on top of that, playing the Warhams. It's a lot to keep in. And Sam, I have a question. Who would win in an arm wrestling competition with an Ogryn or a Space Marine? A Space Marine. Well, Space Marine power armor, Space Marine all day long. Ogryn and Space Marine out of power armor, Ogryn. There's a few bits in the lore, like there's one in the Uriel Ventress trilogies where a Cargo 8 is actually stuck in some mud coming out and they're fleeing all the Tyranids. And the sergeant goes up and literally lifts up the back end of the truck and pushes it forward out of the thing. So I don't know if an Ogryn can pick up a Cargo 8. And Cargo 6, Cargo 8, Cargo 12, the number refers to the number of wheels on the truck that go round and round. Round and round, round and round. The wheels on the truck go round and round all day long. So it's a big truck, you know what I mean? So both is your answer. Who would win in an arm wrestling competition with an Ogryn and a Space Marine? Both. Unarmored. Yes, see, there you go. Inchin's answered the question. Cheers for I notice you, Blood Buffalo. I see you there. Sunday was good. How long does it take you to make such a battleground? On average, 1 minute. 1 minute. Did anyone else hear that? On average, about an hour. Sometimes half hour, sometimes an hour and a half. Rarely half an hour, actually. Sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes an hour and a quarter. About an hour, yeah. Because I take time. I know what's happening next. Like, who is against who. So if it is Death Guard versus Sisters, it's like, okay, what sort of table will help? Not all the time I do this, but most of the time. There are exceptions to the rule. Sometimes it picked it up, did it? Oh, I apologize. Not really. It was funny. Yeah, sometimes, life happens, but most of the time I think about it, who's coming, the kind of what we're playing, and by what we're playing is most of the time I don't know what lists are turning up, but I know whether we're playing a narrative game or a competitive game, and so I'd set up a table appropriately based on that, and so I've got to pick the battle mat, and then I'm thinking what other, again, there are exceptions to this rule as well, but I'm always trying to mix the table up to show different looks and different things and different stuff. So sometimes you might get a table which is the same as a battle report that you saw a week ago or 3 days ago, but that doesn't happen. I try not to make that happen, and there is one on Wednesday which is coming, which is on a very similar battle thing. But anyway, about an hour, because there's thinking going on, There's planning going on, and then I stick it all down. And when I stick it all down, I'm always trying to leave enough space in the gaps and things for things to, and then you've got to plan, like where are the sight angles to make sure, sight lines to make sure that one army can't see all the way across the table at the other army. You need to have large line of sight blocking here, there, and everywhere. And where are the open areas? Where are the close? It takes an hour. I really enjoy setting up tables. It's like Lego to me. It's like I've got this idea in my head, bit by bit by bit. Let's put it together. Obviously, normally put an audible in the background, something like that. Thank you, Damn Legion. Really appreciate it. Thank you, legend. Monkey, hi. I'm not being tempted into AoS, and you're not getting me into Old World. It's not. Is there Zinch Demons in Old World? Yeah, there's everything in Old World, I think. Will Black Shields and or Shattered Legions ever make an appearance on the channel? It will, but I'm definitely going to do Black Shields at some point, but I'm doing the Iron Hands at the moment, and then I think I've got an itching to do some White Scars. So actually getting an army, planning an army, building an army, painting an army, getting it together, and then putting it on the channel. It's little old me here. Some of the stuff gets painted by Den of Imagination, but most of it is me. So yes is the answer. Maybe in 2 years' time. I'd love it if a person who has got Black Shields or a full Shattered Legion army turns up with it. Having said that, on Wednesday, on Winter's Wednesday, tomorrow there is a Horus Heresy battle report coming up with Iron Hands and Raven Guard together versus my Mechanicum. And it's actually my Iron Hands and my Raven Guard as well with Alex SEO, because I play him all the time, off camera, all the time. I'm still playing off camera all the time. I film about half of what I play. I still play, still love the hobby. I'm doing this for the love of the game, yo. And so that, but it's not Shattered Legions. It's Shattered Legions in the sense that it's Iron Hands and Raven Guard together. But I'd love if someone turned up with a Black Shields and give it a go. I really like the idea. Because you pick a couple of things, so you can field a Black Shields army with no HQs and no troops. How cool is that? Do you have any Legion Imperialis planned? No. Do you think it's popular? No. It's not as popular as it could be because Epic, you used to be able to fight with Orcs and you used to be able to fight with Eldar and things like that. And they set it in the Horus Heresy time era for some reason. And I think that killed a lot of people's interest in Legions Imperialis. The other thing about Legion Imperialis, that I do know a few people who play it and they tell me that it's really good. And I've played it. And then there's the one that I filmed and put on the channel, or a couple I filmed and put on there's some on the channel. It's a really good game system, actually. It is tactical. You roll a hit, you don't roll a wound. It's just hit and save, hit and save, hit and save. That speeds up that part of the game and makes it easier because there's a lot of movement mechanics in it, and you go, I go mechanic, and the leadership mechanic. There's a lot of other mechanics that make it feel more like a war game. And the hitting and the wounding is just hitting and save, hitting and save. How much damage are you putting out is secondary to outmaneuvering and outplaying your opponent with your orders and things. It's really good. I really enjoyed it when I played it. I'd like to play it again. But the thing is, as I said earlier, I can only just about keep two systems in my head. Like Adaptus Titanicus, I really like that as a game as well. That is a movement-based. You go managing your void shields of your Titan effectively so you don't overblow it, to manage the defensive and offensive capability of your Titans. And at the end, towards the end of it, it just gets really desperate and you're ruining and overheating your reactor as you're trying to drag the most out of it for your shields and for your guns until you sometimes kill your own Titan. Those mechanics are really good, help the war game come to life. But what I need to do to play Adaptus Titanicus on or Legion Imperialis is I'd need to play it on a regular basis. And I don't have anyone around me who have got those systems and play it regularly. If I knew someone in the AO who was around me and played those systems regularly and routinely, particularly Adeptus Titanicus and Legion Imperialis, I'd be trying to squeeze that in my head as well, because I like guns and I really like those systems. Blood Buffalo, thank you for your second donation of the evening. Thank you so much, sir. This one's in orange. I rarely see an orange one. You are an absolute legend. I hope it's not raining too much on you in Buffalo. Reference to last stream at STC Lost Tech. Read Death of Integrity, Guy Haley. Read Death of Integrity. I've got it on here, on my to-do. Avoiding spoilers. The end is amazing. Nova Marines and Blood Drinkers on a Space Hulk. Chris Tester recently read the end. It's so good. Yeah, it's here. It's here. My current Audible that I'm reading while I'm doing the things, because I finished Gaunt's Ghosts. We've got all the way through Gaunt's Ghosts. 10 out of 10. Would bang. Would recommend. I'm currently on... Damn it. What am I on? Sons of the Emperor anthology from the Primarch series, even though I've finished the solo. I'd never hit that one at the time, the anthologies to the Primarch's stuff at the time. And that one, there was an Audible sale recently, and that one was $2.99, and your Audible credits are about £7 or £8, and then you get the free one each month. So yeah, I'm on that. About 4 hours to go, 5 hours to go. Finish that one. I really want to get to the Ancient Awakens. I've heard about that one quite a lot. And then Death of Integrity, and then I'll get to it and we can talk about it on stream. Looking forward to it very much. Exactly, another big reason I play 40k and AoS. More players in those two systems, easy to find. Yeah, easy to find players. You need, see, one of the things they don't put on the box art is, here's on the box art, it's like, here are the miniatures you need. But the other thing they don't put on the box art is your mate Jeff. Because they can't track him down, because he's probably been arrested somewhere in Baja for interfering with animals. So you need your mate Jeff hanging around you. And when you open a box of something, it'd be nice if, you open up the box and inside there was a Jeff that you could play with as well. But you need a friend who's into it hardcore like you guys, hardcore like you are, and just enjoys playing the game. So I need someone like that around the time. Yeah, Legion Imperialis, that was good. It is good. Night Haunter and the Jegatai Khan are Primarch books. The Night Haunter is a really good Primarch book. Jegatai Khan is mid. It's a good one. But the best Primarch books are Kurz, Valdor, and Alfarius. And you need to read Valdor and Alfarius in that order. Damned Legion. Trying to keep up with different systems. Yeah. Trying to learn AoS and Old World while playing Kill Team and 40k. It's too much. It is too much. And I know a bunch of people who actually do they bounce from one system to another system to another system. That's how they play the game. And that's fine. If you've got some friends who are also bouncing from system to system and a bit here and a bit there and a bit, that's fine. That's how some people enjoy this hobby. It's your hobby. Enjoy it however you want. But it's such a time sink when you're investing in a whole army or a whole list. I prefer to drill into a thing. That's the way my brain works. When do we think the Mechanicum box set will be released? No idea. But they recently leaked the book on Warhammer Community. So when they release a book on Warhammer Community, be it a codex, be it a supplement, be it or something, it comes out within a month of that, after that, doesn't it? It might be 2 weeks from now. It might be a month from now. It might be 6 weeks from now. No idea. If I knew, I couldn't tell you. I read Valdor. I'll start the Alfarius book. Yeah, they're good. I think they're the best Primarch books. And the people who've read the Primarch series agree with me, because I'm the No Retreat Legends champion. And you would agree with me. Games Workshop agrees with me in all things. I'm a secret consultant. They pay me lots of money to consult on everything they do. which is why they don't listen to anything I say, because that's what you do with consultants. You pay consultants lots of money, and then you don't listen to what they say whatsoever. And then you can go and see the board of directors and say, yeah, we spent all this money on these consultants, and we're taking that into advisement. And now we're ignoring them utterly. And instead, we're going to invade Dudley, because Dudley needs invading. If there's any town that needs razing to the ground, it's probably Dudley. You know? But instead, you should listen to the consultants and instead do some serious redevelopment in Swindon. If there's any town that also needs razing to the ground, I went to Swindon Town Centre by mistake the other day. It's a horror show. I mean, you could film The Walking Dead there. There's a whole mall shopping centre in the centre of Swindon Town Centre. This is the centre of a population area with 250,000 people living in it, and it's just boarded up shops and escalators turned off and sheep wandering through and the occasional cow going moo. It's very depressing. Living in Dudley, and I agree. Nice. Best book, Shadow Point, read by A Border Prince. Shadow Point. Best book. I've been to Swindon twice now. It's something. I live in the nice bit of Swindon. I mean, if there could be a nice bit of Swindon, I live in it. But yeah, it is something. So Wednesday, what are we talking about? Yeah, so when you mentioned like books and things, thing that popped into my head is I did another top 3 video. You know, top 3 models, top 3 rules. I did another one of them. Because what's happening is these live streams get the old creative juices flowing. And they're like, right, I could make a video on that. Because let's talk. Let's get it out there. Let's get the conversation started. Let's get people commenting. Let's open up those Reddit threads. All those sorts of things. So I made another one about books. And I told Sultan, and he told me that my thumbnails for my top 3 video things are shit. He said, I'll make a thumbnail for you. Now, I know with the Warhammer logo and top 3, with the red on, I know they're a bit shit. But they were serviceable, right? The top 3 video thumbnails, you guys saw them and knew what they were. They worked. I thought, yeah. Anyway, so he said, I'll make you a thumbnail for your next one. And then next one is, it's a bit cheeky of them though, isn't it? It's a bit cheeky. I put in work on that thumbnail. I had to go on a program called Canva and everything. You know? When consultants are a mix of pro tournament players and, right, it's a bit shit and serviceable, but it appears to me. Hello, AM. You want a video idea? Find a way to save the Death Watch from being squatted into agents of the Imperium. What is, if they got shoved into agents of the Imperium, is that such a bad thing? Is it such a bad thing? Because the Death Watch Codex isn't really that big. And the Death Watch often deploy in the lore with Inquisitors. Not all the time, just like the Grey Knights. What they should do, really, is in the Grey Knights Codex, put some Inquisitors back into it, like it used to have back in the day, because it's very common. And in the Death Watch Codex, put some Inquisitors in the Death Watch Codex. I don't know where they'll end up putting the Sisters of Silence. Oh no, they're in the Custodes Codex now, so that's them sorted. But yeah, you know. This is why I'm building my Inquisition army. Hey, it's Luton in the chat. Everyone say hello to Luton. Hi, Luton. It's always nice to have a celebrity in the chat. He's been swinging by quite recently, actually. It's nice to him. Yeah, so top 3 videos, things, shit. I'm just talking about 5 things now. So yeah, those thumbnails are crap. So the next one that you see, that's what I was going to say, top 3 this, which looks much better than my older thumbnails. Sultan did it. Hi, Adam. I was like, he said, let me know if you're doing another top 3 one. I said, I am. I've done one. I'm doing one. It's going up on Thursday. He said, I'll do the thumbnail for it. So there. But yeah, is it a problem? It is if you've got a Death Watch army already. So Death Watch with Inquisition. That's a common thing. I mean, the Death Watch came out of the Inquisition in M32, War of the Beast. And they've got the Inquisition, those badges. They do all the things. That's what they're all about. But, see, I'm more actually down for an Imperial Agents Codex. Like I said last week, so if you had Imperial Agents, you could put the Silent Sisters in there, which, let's face it, they should be in there. Along with the Inquisition, along with Arbites, along with other stuff, Navigate, whatever you want, you could stick in the Inquisition Imperial Agents book. In the same way that I really would like them to have Codex Mercenaries, where you could have Crew in it, where you could have some other lesser defined Xenos species in it, the Loxacatl, things like that. You could have a Codex. So if there was a Codex Mercenaries book, great. Codex Imperial Agents books, great. And a Codex Other Eldar book. And in the Other Eldar book, put the Harlequins, put the Eldar Corsairs, put Eldar Exodites, put them in that book. And have these supplementary books floating around. I mean, that's what I would do. But, like I say, paid consultant for Games Workshop. They pay me, so they don't have to listen to me. Luton the Law Legend. I know. I hope you've seen his one on the Dark Mechanicum, which came out a couple of days ago. Banging videos. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Any Mechanicum content, though, being a Mechanicum fanboy, would tell you to go and watch. But go and watch Luton's latest video. It's really good. Awesome painting material, or sleeping material, according to some. But he wakes me up every time I hear his dulcet tones in my eardrums. It just gives me a shiver of joy. Put the assassin in there too. Exactly. In the Imperial Agents, you could put the assassins in there. There's more than 4 houses, clades of assassins. They could add, Imperial Agents, add 2 of the new ones, the vellum and stuff like that. You could put them in there in plastic. That would be good. Agents of the Imperial Codex would be a kit bash dream. You know what else, Simon, is a kit bash dream? The Necromunda model range. That's a kit bash dream as well. That's what Imperial Agents should look like. It should look like, the Necromunda models, they are knocking it out of the park yet. Have I listened to Baldy on YouTube? Absolute legend of narration. I have, and he's also a very nice person. But Luton's just... Voldemort's good. Voldemort's very good. Listen to a bunch of his stuff. He's very good. But Luton, he's a level above, isn't he? He's just a level above. Voldemort, he's good. I like him. I like him very much. And I like it's a twist, the way he does it. But there's levels. Ah, dear. I love watching Luton during a craft session. My favourite part is where I feel like he's having a go at me and I don't know what I did wrong. Yeah. For me, it's like preach, brother, preach. Because, GW tried the Imperium thing in Epic Second Ed. Well, yeah, but that was 30 years ago. The company's a bit different from that. It's a bit different. I mean, Games Workshop tried a lot of things in second edition, such as Blood Bowl and Dwarfs and and they're all back now. So everything that they tried, they're scraping the IP barrel and bringing it to life. Deathwatch was a kit bash legend and one of the best. It was. See, I know, because a little birdie in one of the studios there told me that the Deathwatch Codex with the Primaris, Deathwatch were not meant to get the Primaris upgrade. It was going to be OG. But the paint department got their hands on all the new Primaris stuff and started painting it however they wanted to paint it. And they painted a bunch of the new Primera stuff in Deathwatch colors, and then their rules writers from the I forget the name of the studio, but anyway, they saw them and like, oh, this stuff looks really cool. We'll put them in the new codex as well. So they ended up getting put Primarisified Deathwatch. They were going to be Firstborn, but the Primarisified Deathwatch happened because the painters, for the love of the hobby, right? Wait till we get the reports on Winter's channel happening coming soon, summer 2026. No, Luton, if we actually get a report on the channel by 2026. You can't say 2026. Say 3026. That's more likely. What's the battle report tomorrow? I mentioned it earlier. I mentioned it again. 3,000 point Horus Heresy battle report tomorrow. Iron Hands and Raven Guard together. Not Shattered Legion rules because I haven't got a PhD. I do want to work at the Shattered Legion rules though. They're complicated. It literally says in the Shattered Legion rules when you open the book, do not do this for your first army. Make sure you fill out a cheat sheet. Make sure you tell, make sure you tell your opponent beforehand. Where is the book? I need to read you. There's a huge disclaimer in the Shattered Legions thing, but I really want to try it out. Anyway, Iron Hands, Raven Guard versus Mechanicum. The Mechanicum is coming at some point in plastic. I'm very excited. I just want to play Mechanicum. Any 30k players, like I think, say Hypool is coming on Saturday, but that's 30k, but when we're going to be, I can't play a Mechanicum because the last time I played him was Mechanicum up at his place. So that'll be Ultramarines versus Death Guard, I think. Just Craig is coming next Saturday, so I'll be throwing Mechanicum at him because I want to play as much Mechanicum as I can. Blood Bowl was never gone. No, Blood Bowl was popular AF, dude. AF. Woohoo! Skaven Tide box just arrived at my door here in Canada. That's amazing. I hope you enjoyed the Skaven Tide thing. It's amazing. You know, when I sold dice to different part, you know, when I had dice, I need to do another run, I guess. Canada, it was the slowest mail. Stuff would get to Australia before it got to places in Canada. I don't know why. I guess it's in Australia because everyone only lives in 3 places, like Sydney, Melbourne, and some, I don't know. They're in Brisbane or something. They only live in 3 places. It's like 90% of the population there. Whereas in Canada, you guys are spread out all over the place. Obviously, you live in major population centres as well, but some of you live with whales. Not the whales, but whales and seals and blubber and snow and things. You're spread out. Where's the book? Is it next door? I'm not gonna go and grab and get it. But the disclaimer at the start of the thing, like if you want to play, are you sure? I'll read it. I'm getting it. Stay here. Talk amongst yourselves. Can someone clip the farty bit? That would be really funny. Fangs of the Emperor. Black Shields. Shattered Legion. It's after the things. How about... No, don't talk about the football. Bless you. Thank you. I've got a twisted septum. It rubs on the... Look, if you look at my nose... See, it bends that way a bit. So I sneeze a lot. The inside of my thing, deviated septum rubs on the other side of my thing, makes me sneeze a lot. Shattered Legions. You guys will love this. The guys that got that will know what I'm talking about here. But the page numbering for my Beta Gammon is all right. This is how you write a codex saying, this is like Heresy is narrative first, competition second, and they've literally put this in the rule section. Look, the Shattered Legions are a mix of legions with varying priorities and agendas. The following rules have been designed to reflect this and to allow you to represent the internal politics of these formations in your games. As such, you will find the following rules are more complex than used by other factions. The first few battles fought with one or more players using these rules will likely progress slower than normal. They put this in their rules. And as such, we recommend that these rules be used for casual games rather than in a competitive environment or where time limit is a factor. We also do not recommend them for tournament play, where the complicated interactions may cause confusion within an opponent unfamiliar with these rules. After selecting your Shattered Legions army, you may also find it useful to make a cheat sheet with a summary of the rules for your selected legions and the potential combinations as a quick reference. They're saying that this is like hardcore. This is the Warham's hardcore mode. Be careful. And I love it. You read that and you're like, oh, like a red rag to a bull. See, in 9th edition, they didn't put that in the Gene Stealer Codex, did they? They're like, here's a Gene Stealer Codex. Here's 78 pages just to say. They just like assumed. And then also Warhammer 40k rules. Sometimes it just it can be a bit confusing in places. You know what I mean? So I just like them to acknowledge it. And the fact that they acknowledged it beforehand, lovely. Hi, Wolfbook Chronicles, aka Stylus, seeing you on the 5th. Looking forward to it, my friend. I also need to film an old world, apparently. We need to film some old world at some point, and you're the old world guy. No, it isn't from that. It's a childhood thing, childhood stuff on the thing with the thing. It wasn't a broken nose or anything. It just ended up that way because, you know, childhood things. Yeah. Running into walls and things. Never broke it, though. If you've broken it, I mean, it doesn't move. If you have a disconnected, then it will move around all over. Evening all. Really enjoyed the last battle report with Sultan Systems Army. Great table setup and battle. Thank you, Daniel Rigoni. That was a good one, wasn't it? That was a good one. I did enjoy that one. It was narrative AF. I set up the table purposely with that narrative in mind. And we played it out. And this Sunday, I don't know what to put up this Sunday. Whether I go back to a Pariah Nexus one that I've got. I've got a Pariah Nexus one there. And I've got the Hobby Apocalypse 4-way free-for-all clash. And I'm thinking maybe I should sit on the 4-way free-for-all clash for a bit, because we haven't had a Pariah Nexus primary secondary one for a bit on the main channel. It's been a good few weeks, so like I need to feed the monkey on my back, get that itch out of the way. Or do I go, no monkey, you can starve to death, no one likes monkey anyway, particularly not Wolfbook Chronicles, and just get out the Hobby Apocalypse one, which was good fun. 4-way free-for-all, which Stylus didn't take part in. And I missed you, Stylus. I missed you. I know you barely play the hobby anymore. You've moved on to new things, but you were one of my faves. And now you've left me. Hi, Adam. Go Nexus. Yeah, that's what I thought. Childhood hooligan shenanigans. Yeah, running into walls and falling over and all sorts of things. Yeah, it grew that way. Yeah. So yeah, so go Nexus or go. See, the thing is as well, what I want to put on the Sunday ones, the Freeview stuff, is basically I've got Pariah Nexus one, I've got the Hobby Apocalypse one, and I've also got one of the best Warhammer games I've played probably ever. And it's the one that I filmed. I've mentioned it on previous live streams, and it was wobbly. I filmed it without the stabilization turned on. And currently, Tech Priest Sultan Plays from Sultan Plays YouTube channel was fixing it for me. Because I couldn't fix it myself. I kept screwing it up. So I've given it to him, and he says he can fix it. And the Pariah Nexus one also was a wobbly one. It was 2 without the advanced stabilization turned on. And the Pariah Nexus one is smaller by about 1/3, and he fixed it. It's like, you fixed it? How'd you fix it? And then I've got this program, and I did this, and did this, and did this. And the one, and it's with Farseer Fraser, or aka Dark Angels Chris. And what it does is it zooms in a bit to stop the wobbliness. like, so that the field of view on the camera is pulled in a little bit, and you'll notice it on it when it says, the turn 2 logo comes up, turn 3, battle round 2, battle round 3, battle round 4. That logo, when it comes up, it fills so much of the screen that it's a little bit off the screen. Professionally unprofessional. That's me. So he fixed that one, and so hopefully he'll be able to fix the other one. He's also doing the thumbnail for the Thursday video. I owe him a lot, don't I? That's why I buy him all the Astra Militarum things. Anyway, chat, how are we doing? What are you working on? What are you looking forward to do in the world of Warhammers? Have you played a game recently? What is your favorite biscuit? I've had so many hobnobs recently. I'm leaning more towards Fox's Crunchy Creams. You know the 2 layers of Foxes with the cream filling in the middle? Oh, sir. Suits you, sir. It's so... They're really good dipping material as well, because you can dip it in and then give it a proper suck off. And the creamy center holds it firm. You know what I mean? About the logo is an easy fix. Dude, you're talking to someone who has the technical skills of a spoon. So, you played a 750-point mini event on Sunday. Fun but difficult with demons. A 750 point. Isn't that like combat patrol level? Dark chocolate. No, I'm not a dark chocolate fan. I like the creamy milky. Fox's ginger creams. Now we're talking. They're really nice. What happened to your Dark Angels army? See, the Dark Angels army that I had was a specific army that I made to destroy everyone and win No Retreat Legends. And now it was 2,000 points, so it's next door. Haven't added it to it all, and it's now about 1,300 points. So, and I don't even think you can legally field it anymore with a rule of 3. I mean, for example, one of the Blade Guard veteran squads was 6, and the other Blade Guard veteran squad was 5 strong. You can't do that anymore. It's either 3 or 6. You can't do 6 or 5. So it's not even where am I going to get one Blade Guard veteran from? I've been thinking about adding to the Dark Angels that I've got next door and having a wider Dark Angels force. But I would need to send them away to Den of Imagination Painting Studio, the greatest painting studio in the Sol System, because they painted them all. You're painting some Induneth Deepkin. They look cool. They look very cool. I like Induneth Deepkin. Been joining Winter's Background since late 8th edition. Nice. Thank you, Damn Legion. There is no spoon. There isn't. There is no spoon. Cut the back rep up and make new logos. Or just put it out there. It's just a thing. It's just put it out there. It's fine. Who watches battle reports anyway? People listen to them while you're painting. No one watches a battle report. Every now and then you might look up for a dice roll. And so long as you can see the dice rolls, this is a really critical dice roll. So you're telling me if I roll a 4+ here, I win the game. But anything less, I lose and my warlord dies. Yes, then everyone's looking at it. Here's a 1. I've lost the game and my warlord. You know, those things. Those are the times when you look up. Most of the times you're painting, right? I mean, that's what I'm doing. Funny story for late stream. While deciding a game for my daughter, I suggested Gabriella Seth. My wife says, so help me God, if this is a 40k name. Dude, my mate Alex SEO has named his daughter, his new daughter, she's like a year and a bit. Middle name is Keela. What a G. What an absolute G. He couldn't get away with Euphrates because, you know, why a river in Egypt doesn't make sense. You watch them at work. Hey guys, hi James March. Welcome to the chat. James March from marchofwar.co.uk for all your hobby needs. James, everyone's telling us how the table on the last Sunday's battle report with all the bunkers and all the statues and all the things, there was a gorgeous table. Thank you for your creative geniusness so that I can put together and making stuff like that so I can make tables like that. I love how many games come down to that final dice roll. The final dice roll games are the best ones. Those are the ones I enjoy the most. I think they're the ones you enjoy the most. Win or lose on one last dice roll. I mean, if a game is over in 2 turns, you haven't played much Warhams. If you play all the Warhams out So at the very end of the game, it comes down to the last dice roll. Then you're squeezing every little bit of juice from the grape, aren't you? You're enjoying as much of the Warhammers as possible. And then surely it's as balanced. Surely the most balanced game will be the game where you don't know who's won until you roll the last dice, because it is a dice rolling game. If it's that close. Beautiful. Do you think you'd ever do a How to Play Horus Heresy series? I might. I've been thinking about it. I haven't got further than that because it's a complicated one to do. There's a lot of them out there as well. There's a lot of Blackfriar Gaming did How to Start Collecting Legions. Black Flag Gaming. Check out my community tab when you go to YouTube, and you can see playlists and store and all that. Go along to YouTube, and I tagged them in a community tag a while back. They've got some good videos on Heresy from about a year ago. Australian fella. Would recommend. 10 out of 10. So I thought about it, but I don't know how to approach that and make it interesting and funny. Hijackers would. You watch the Army Showcase and then listen and said, yeah, exactly. You watch a bit and then, sorry, I haven't changed my name yet. Sisters Battle was brilliant. Shout out to Sultan. It was good. It's fine. It's fine. My last game by failing my charge. Yeah, so if it comes down to the last dice roll of failing your charge is a loss, it's glorious. Then you got down to the very last dice roll of the game. Please do that How to Play idea. Could make a proper series. Yeah. My Sevatar did kill the Raven Lord, though. Nice. Well, Sevatar is a G in Horus Heresy. He's an absolute G. On the tabletop and in the lore. He's a sociopath in the lore. You know that, right? Like when you... what is it called? The Prince of Crows is one of the best short stories in the Horus Heresy series. I say that. Let's qualify that by saying I put it up there with the Lightning Tower, the Last Church, the one with Dantioch in it, with the city that he drops on the things. That one's really good as well. The First Blood Games one is really good. Lightning Tower's stunning though. Like these are top tier short stories from the Horus Heresy. And the Prince of Crows with Sevatar, the Shattering of the Night Lord's Legion, is a top tier short story. It's a good couple of hours long. It's not necessary. Anyway, Sevatar in that, you get a good impression of him in there. You also get a very good impression of him in... there's a short story where... There's another short story in the Primarch anthology that I'm reading. He's associate. He doesn't understand. He smiles because he thinks that's what he do. He laughs along with other people because he sees other people laughing. He's mimicking human behaviors, acting how he thinks humans should act. But Sevatar is the thing that makes him really an interesting character is he is either a psychopath. He's not a psychopath, but he's definitely a sociopath. But he's also loyal. He's also a loyal, straight talker, naysayer. He's a very good character. Very good, fleshed out, well-written character, I find, anyway. There's a lot of nuance to him. And he's one of those like Khan or Argel Tal, which Sevatar, Khan, Argel Tal would have been on the good guy side, would have been on the Loken, Nathaniel Garrow side if they were just in another legion. There were good guys like Little Horus that ended up on the bad guy side because they were in certain There were a lot of good guys that ended up on the good guy side because they were in the good guys legion. But there were also a bunch of good guys that were in bad guys legions that ended up on the good guy side because they would not bend. Like Garrow, like Loken, people like that. The most obvious ones I can name. And there's also, on the bad guy side, there are bad guys that ended up staying in their legions because of either the legions they were in or because they were loyal. Like Little Horus was really loyal to Horus. And mainly to Abaddon, actually. Not so much to Horus himself, but he was following Abaddon around. So yeah, it's very interesting. I love that nuance at the start of the Heresy. there was more shades of grey. It's one of the reasons why the Heresy is such an interesting series. Where? What books do I need to read before Prince of Crows? I haven't read the specific Heresy Night Lords other than Night Haunter. The whole of the Horus Heresy. The Prince of Crows happens after Isfam 5, quite a way after Isfam 5, before the events in Unremembered Empire. It must be around book 12. I mean, you could pick it up and read it as a standalone book. If you're very interested in Night Lords and want to find out how the Legion... I can summarize it for you. I can summarize up to the point, which is... Night Lords, Terror Troops, Emperor made them for a good reason, and they were doing their thing, right? And then the Night Haunter, Night Haunter's with them, he's doing their thing, and blah, 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 rampaging around the galaxy. And when the Night Haunter leaves Nostromo, they start... Kurz is hanging out with the Night Lords. The Night Lords were made for a good reason. In the same way that the Death Guard were made for a good reason. The same way that the World Eaters were made for a good reason. In the same way that the Custodians were made for a good reason. The good reason being the survival of the species. You're going to need every single tool on the Swiss Army knife. Sometimes you need the tool to open up a bottle of wine. Sometimes you need a tool to take a little bit of stone out of a horse's hoof. Sometimes you need a knife. You need loads of different tools on your Swiss Army knife when you're trying to conquer a galaxy for the survival of the species, according to the Emperor. There are some people, many of them perpetuals, who might argue that the Emperor of Mankind was bringing about the destruction of the species because of him. But let's assume that the Emperor is right in all things and we must worship him and bow down to the Golden Throne. And that he was doing it for the right reason, which is species annihilation. Because in the wonderful world of the Warhams, a suitably advanced psychic species will bring about its own destruction, a la the Old Ones, a la the Eldar, and now it's the end time for humanity. The Great Rift just shows you what we're up against. Yes, so you need people that were skin kittens and then put the skin kittens on the internet to say, look, you've got to be good people, otherwise I'm going to come around and skin your pussy. And you should never skin a pussy. I'm a cat owner, I love pussy. You shouldn't do that. So he made them. Kurz is floating around with them, and the Night Lords get infected from the inside. Nostromo turns to crap as soon as Kurz leaves it. There's a couple of short stories on this as well. Kurz has an argument with Magnus about this tower. Magnus is protecting this tower of old law, and Kurz is like, no, the tower must be destroyed. And then Magnus is like, how do you know the tower must be destroyed? And he's like, look, because the Emperor made me and this is what I do. I have judged it. He's the judge. And, tower gets destroyed. Where was I going? Anyway, Kurz is saying to Magnus then, because Magnus is all like, oh, we need illumination, we need illumination, we need truth, we need love, we need justice, we need to know all the things about all the things. Knowledge is not good or bad. It's what people do with knowledge that makes it good or bad. The usual Magnus bullshit that he talks about. And Kurz is like, well, not everyone's ready for the knowledge. You can enlighten some people with bits of knowledge here or there, but you can't tell Stone Age Kevin, here's how you fly an F-22 Raptor. He'd have no idea. He's not ready for that amount of knowledge. Like, for example, a 3-year-old can ask you, can I have an ice cream? And you can say yes or no. And the 3-year-old can understand that bit of knowledge. But if a 3-year-old asks you, what is quantum gravity? It's going to take a bit of time to explain to the 3-year-old, and they're going to need to grow a little bit, and eventually they might understand quantum gravity, become a professor, and get a nice career in it. Some people are not ready for certain levels of knowledge. That was Kurz's point, but obviously he didn't put it as eloquently as me. And he had a point, because Nostromo turned to shit as soon as he left. Kurz finds out, goes back, blows up Nostromo. When Dawn finds out, nearly kills Dawn, back on Terra, flees Terra. There's a big kerfuffle, and the Night Lord's Legion starts fracturing before the turn of the Heresy. Here's something to remember. There were 20 Primarchs. There were 20 legions. I would argue, it isn't that 2 of them didn't make it to the time of the Heresy. I would argue that 3 of them didn't make it to the time of the Heresy. 2 of them being the 2 that we know nothing about. Well, we do know a little bit about them, but that's a whole other thing. 2 of them gone. They don't even talk about them. And the 3rd one was in a state of disarray, and Kurz was a bit fruity by the time the Heresy started. You could argue that it wasn't just 3 of them that didn't make it to the time of the Great Betrayal. You could argue it was more than that, because, I mean, Fulgrim took a bit, like, Horus was stabbed, dagger, chaos stuff. Fulgrim, chaos stuff. A couple of them a bit of chaos stuff. Magnus, a bit of chaos stuff. But a couple of legions didn't even need any convincing at all, like Mortarion and Angron, like the Death Guard and the World Eaters. They were like, yeah, we're just going to go for it. We hate that guy. We don't like the Emps, the Big E. We don't like him for all sorts of reasons. Screw that guy. So you could argue that the fracturing of the legions started before the time of the Heresy. 2 of them didn't make it to the Great Betrayal, definitely. 1 of them was already falling apart by the time of the Great Betrayal. And the final nail in the coffin, which kind of... So that happens. The Night Lords are falling apart by the time the Heresy starts. They're a bit discombobulated. Kurz is getting lots of visions of the future. His legion is full of murderers and rapists and people who skin kittens. They're full of really bad people. They didn't take much turning. And the thing that finally broke the Legion apart, the last exclamation mark, the last nail in the coffin, is the Prince of Crows short story. That deals with the end of the Thramas. So the Crusades, the Great Heresy starts, the Great Betrayal starts, and what Horus does, we all know Isfahan 3, we all know Isfahan 5. The Drop Site Massacre on Isfahan 5, things go horribly wrong. Dark Angels weren't involved with the Drop Site Massacre on Isfahan 5, and neither were the Blood Angels, and neither the White Scars, and neither were the Ultramarines, because before the Drop Site Massacre on Isfahan 5, Horus had a good couple of years to set a few things up. The Betrayal at Calf for the Ultramarines, Cygnus Prime for the Blood Angels, and the Thramas Crusade for the Dark Angels. He basically got the Night Lords to lead the Dark Angels in this merry crusade off deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the Thramas system, the Thramas sector. And it took them, I think it's like 9 months, because he goes off and gets the Talky device, the lion, to come back, and then that helps him beat. Anyway, so the Dark Angels don't take any part in the Drop Site Massacre in Isfahan 5, and are fairly ignorant initially about what happens at Isfahan 5. They start finding about it later. There's a famous bit in the Dark Angels book, where, not in the Dark Angels book, I think it is in the Prince of Crows, where like an Ultramarine, I forget which book it is, but he literally breaks up a fight between the Ultramarines and the Death Guard, or I think a Loyalist and Traitor. It's definitely Death Guard, and I think it might be Ultramarines. Summons both of them and says, you two bugger off or I'll destroy both of you, because he doesn't know what's going on. If you get in my way, it's why he tries to get the Talky device. It's that short story. And there's Loyalists and Death Guard, and I think it's Ultramarines and Death Guard fighting for it. And he rocks up with his entire legion, and they're like, whoa, we're in trouble here, boys. And the Ultramarines are like, yeah, he's on our side. And he's like, nope, I don't want nothing to do with both of you. You both bugger off. I'm going here, doing the thing. Da, da, da. So Night Lords. So the Prince of Crows. We'll get there in the end. Should I read? What should I know? So this is all the backstory that you need to know. The Night Lords don't take... They are on Isfahan 5, bits of them. They take part in the Drop Site Massacre. They're pretty much split, into separate war bands by the start of the Heresy. They're pretty much already a fragmented legion, but there is a large part of them who are still following Kurz and Sevatar. Well, they're not even following Kurz at this point. Basically, Sevatar is in charge of the Night Lords at this point, in the same way that Khan is sort of in charge of the World Eaters by the time of the Heresy starts. Because they're both of those Primarchs are non-functional by the time of the Heresy. Like I said, more than 2 legions didn't really make it to the Great Betrayal. So you got all this stuff going on. Night Lords fragmenting apart. Heresy kicks off. Some of the Night Lords are over here. Some of the Night Lords are over there. Little bit ooh, little bit ah. Most of them, Thramas Crusade, dumb. And the Prince of Crows short story is 2, 3, 4 hour short story, which is like, here's what happens to the Night Lords. In the same way like the Fulgrim novel is, here's what happens to the Emperor's Children. In the same way that Scars novel is, here's what happens to the White Scars. In the same that Cygnus Prime novel is, here's what happens to the Blood Angels. The Night Lords don't even get a whole book. They don't get... The Prince of Crows should have been a whole book in the Night Lords series. It should have been a whole book in the Horus Heresy. We could have had more before, more after, more intrigue, more stuff. But in the end, they get a short story, an anthology, The Prince of Crows, which is why it's one of the best short stories in the Horus Heresy series, because it is the book that the Night Lords should have got in the Horus Heresy series that they didn't get. There isn't a Night Lords book because they skin kittens, and Games Workshop don't want a book written about skinning kittens. But the Angel Exterminatus, the Iron Warriors get a book, the Blood Angels get a book, the Imperial Fists get a book, Alpha Legion get a book. Everyone gets a book. Most of them get trilogies. Most of them get the trilogies. The Blood Angels didn't know, but the White Scars do, and the Salamanders do, and the Iron Hands. The Iron Hands get a book. They kind of get a book in the end with Shattered Legions. They kind of get a book. But maybe the Iron Hands and the Night Lords are the ones done most dirty in the Heresy series. So that's why I like the Prince of Crows so much. It is like, here's the Night Lords. Here's what they're all about. And here's how they basically fall apart right at the start of the Heresy. And end up in different war bands. End up shooting off here, 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 here. Because Sevatar's like, you guys do what you want. I'm going over here with it, you guys, and some of you might end up on Terra, some of you might end up on Nost. I don't give 2 shits. Do what you want. And that's basically the end of the Night Lord Legion. Spoiler. But it's really good. It's really contained. A short story that just is even better. I mean, in the truest sense of short stories, Last Church, The Lightning Tower. You can read The Lightning Tower on its own. You can read The Last Church on its own. You can read the siege of that city with Dantioch, Barbarous Dantioch, as a standalone short story. I forget the name of that book, but they're really good. Anyway, Ben Tom, welcome to the 13th Tier 1. I really appreciate the new member. Thank you. Welcome to the 13th Fleet, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Tier 1 gets you the images and all the things. Tier 2, access to Discord. Tier 3, an extra battle report every single Winter's Wednesday. And I really appreciate all the love, all the support, all the members, all the hugs, all the subscribers, everyone commenting on a video and thumbing up, all the things, feeding the algorithm, the mechanicum, the machine god. Thank you for everything that you do and keeping this party bus on rolling. Any other questions? If the Biggie knew that the Heresy was going to happen, is it possible that the 2 Lost Legions were deleted because the Biggie knew that they were going to turn and then they'd win? Thoughts? I can tell you what the 2 Lost Legions are, if you like. What happened to them, at least. It's pretty much guaranteed that one of them was exterminated by the Emperor's executioners, because that pops up in the Heresy again and again and again. I mean, even Russ says it pretty much out loud. Ben Thorne, upgraded to Tier 3 membership. Thank you, Ben Thorne. You absolute legend. Enjoy your extra battle report every single Winter's Wednesday. And thank you to all the other members and subscribers in the chat. GG's, Ben Thorne, thank you. Tomorrow is the 30k one. So I hope you like 30k. But there's loads of 40k in there, and the Necromunda campaigns, and a few other campaigns as well. What was I talking about? Yes, so we know one was executed because Russ basically says it outright, and a few of the other ones, it's mentioned, the Emperor's executioner. We've done it before, he says. So one, I mean, look, you've got legions like Angron. The Emperor was so forgiving, he let Angron still take his legion. This is a broken Primarch with nails hammered into his brain. And you can still have your legion. Lorgar, he even said no to Lorgar, the humiliation on Monarchia, the destruction of the perfect city, and he still said you can still have your legion, and he still let him gallivant off through the stars and into the Eye of Terror. He's a pretty forgiving father, all things considered, considering how nutty some of these ex-guys got up to, some of his sons got up to. But obviously one of them was a bit worse than Lorgar, or a bit worse than Angron, or a bit worse. One of them was executed. The other one, Perturabo in Angel Exterminatus, mentions that all the Primarchs go to Terra to pledge an oath of moment to the Emperor before they're officially given their legion. And Perturabo says it was the most scariest moment of his life because he thought he would fail like the other one did. And he's having a one-on-one conversation with Fulgrim about it. So we know one was exterminated and one of them failed his oath of moment pledge with the Emperor, because it's a mind-meld thing with the Emperor. It's like, you can look inside me, and Perturabo had always had that little bit of stain, that little bit of, he could always see the Eye of Terror, he could always feel the dragon breathing down his neck. He always had that doubt. He could sense that little kiss of chaos from the very first day he stepped out of his gestation pod, wherever he was in the galaxy. And he was surprised that other people couldn't see it. He was doubly surprised when he found out that even Primarchs couldn't see the Eye of Terror, staring at it and there's accusing. Imagine walking around your whole life feeling this god staring at you, judging you, disappointed in you all the time. And then you meet an actual god-ish, the Emperor, and you've got to meld your brain with him, and you know that one of your brothers have failed this test before, and so that's what happened to the two lost Primarchs. Spoilers. If the 20 legions are 10 mirrors, who did the missing 2 Primarchs mirror, like Curse Conrad? Well, I think it doesn't... See, the 2 lost legions, I like to think that in the extreme, you've got the absolute loyalists dudes at one end, and I mean even loyaler than the Imperial Fist, like the Space Wolves. The Space Wolves are so loyal that they can never turn to Chaos. Even if they do try and get infected by demons and Chaos, they become Wolfen. Space Wolves will do the unthinkable. And they're kept in ignorance. I mean, the Council of Nicaea, they just ignored it because they didn't think they had anything to do with the warp whatsoever. It's earth magic, the power of Fenris. They are... And there's a nice bit in the book called Betrayal, in book Betrayal by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, where Khan calls them dogs because they always came to heal, and we were never like dogs, even though they called us the war hounds. We were always the eaters of worlds. We were not dogs. We never came to. So you got the absolute loyalist on one end that will say how high if the Emperor says jump, to the absolute other people at the other end like, meh. I mean, you can pick them. Night Lords, Death Guard, those sort of at the other end of the scale who really, really, really don't care. I like to think that one of the Lost Legions was further off the scale that way. it was just a bit too much for even the Emperor. Like, well, they gave him a legion, but in the end, they went a bit... Look, if Kurz had to be pulled to heel before the heresy started, and if Lorgar had to be reined in at the humiliation of Monarchia and the destruction of the perfect city 70 years before their heresy had to start, we know of a couple of legions in the lore that have been censured by the Emperor before the Great Betrayal. It stands to reason that there's a couple of other legions that were already sanctioned or have been sanctioned, or a couple of events that have been... I mean, the Night of the Wolf, where Russ turns up to sanction Angron. He says, I'm doing it before the Emperor is going to do it. I'm preemptively doing this. And Angron's laughing at him, saying, hey, you're doing this of your own accord. You were never sent here by Malcador or the Emperor or anything like that. You're just turning up to try and teach me a lesson, but you weren't sent by anyone. It stands to reason that there's been other censures that we are not told about, either amongst loyal or traitor legions, or so to speak, and that there was something bigger, more profound that happened earlier on. The execution of an entire legion. And then there was one particular Primarch that didn't even get that far. Yeah, because the Emperor's all forgiving. He gave Kurz a legion. He gave Angron a legion. He gave Mortar his legion. Even Vulcan. When the Emperor met Vulcan, Vulcan was like, I don't really want to do this. I'm just a blacksmith. I want to look after my world. And the Emperor's like, well, you got to. He's like, I don't really want to. He said, let me tell you about Ferrus Manus. He's a great guy. He's a blacksmith. You'll love him. And he talks about Ferrus. And we'll help you out on this world. We'll help you destroy these people. And, But even Vulcan, you'd think like most of them, when they see the Emperor, bow down straight away. And go, oh, Biggie, I love you. I'm coming with you. Give me the ice cream. I like ice cream. I'll follow you around. And he pats them on the head. Come on, son. Here's a nice ice cream. Oh, it's vanilla. I love vanilla. Because I'm so plain. Because I'm an Imperial Fist. And then off they go. And plain is good. You need planes. You need levels to build walls. And I like the fact that this will get back to Valrak at some point, and he'll get on the WhatsApp and shout at me, which is funny. But you have some that said, nah. And then you got some like Kurz, like when he met the Emperor, literally fell to the floor screaming. And the Emperor forgive all of that. Well, one of them he didn't forgive. One of them he's like, you've fallen a bit too far. So that's what happened to the Lost Primarchs. If you read the Horus Heresy, you pick up on the second one pretty easily in Angel Exterminatus. But the first one, the Executioners, the Wolves... that story's kind of repeated, and that kind of gets driven home. So I don't know. So one of the legions strayed so far from the imperial truth as to be destroyed through their Primarch. So you wonder what they got up to. I just like to think that there's something. You got stoic, reliable legions like the Imperial Fists, or like the Ultramarines building the Bastion on the distant shore, or ones that are utterly loyal like the Space Wolves. You got ones at that end, and then you got ones at the other end of the scale like the Death Guard and the Night Lords, where no one really got on with them except for maybe Horus or maybe Sanguinius. Mind you, even Sanguinius didn't like the Night Lord. You know what I mean? You got some at the other end of the scale, some other tools in the toolbox that the Emperor needed to pacify a galaxy of everything that wasn't humanity in order to save the species. There was another one right at that end of the scale, which the Emperor was like, nah, we can't have that running around. So it had to be that to be executed. And then the one that failed, the Mind Meld, the Vulcan Mind Meld. Comment in the comment section below. Who knows? Who knows? Appreciate that Sanguinius didn't just bend the knee when he met Biggie. Exactly. Betrayer was a banner. Betrayer is one of the best books in the series. One of the best books in the Horus Heresy series. I mean, there's a lot of good books in the Horus Heresy series, but it's definitely one of the best. Maybe the Primarch already knew Chaos. Thank you, Blood Buffalo, for your third donation of the Asian. You're absolute legend. Yeah, maybe you already knew chaos. See, the thing is, that would make a nice thank you. That's a good point, because it could make a nice juxtaposition between them and the White Scars, because the White Scars already knew about chaos as well. So Horus just thought that they were exoplanar Xenos from another plane. Other aliens to be destroyed from another plane that bleed through into this reality. At least that's what he told Loken in book 1. And he comes to learn differently after Davin, obviously. There's a lot of ignorance even from Sanguinius prior to the events at Cygnus Prime. There's a lot of ignorance amongst the Primarchs when it comes to the Immaterium. There are 2 noticeable and obvious exceptions, one of them being Magnus, and the other one being the Khan. The Khan and the White Scars knew all about chaos and all about the threats about chaos, and Stormseers amongst the White Scars followed the path of heaven, which was their way of... So if you're a Stormseer for the White Scars, obviously you might fall to chaos, but not if you follow the path of heaven. And they all talk about sipping from the surface, drinking from the surface, never plunging too deep. There's a debate that goes on between a White Scar Stormseer and Ahriman in the Scars book, where they talk about this, don't plunge too deep. And Ahriman's saying, no, it's fine, you can plunge too deep. And it's Jen Getz, I forget the name of the White Scars guy, he's a G though. He tells them, no, you shouldn't plunge too deep because it's dangerous down there. We follow the path of heaven and it keeps us safe. And he's not wrong. And the White Scars are not wrong, because they're sanctioned psychers, they're navigators, they're inquisitors. There's loads of psychers, official psychers, in the 40k verse now and in the 30k verse back then, who follow, and Grey Knights, who are psychers and can deal with the warp. And so long as you follow a path, be it the path of heaven or strict sanctioned psyker stuff, and so long as you're an inquisitor and do the Puritan stuff and don't become radical, so long as you're a Grey Knight and follow the pure Aegis stuff, that you can manipulate chaos, navigators, astropaths, you can muck around with all that sort of thing and not fall to chaos, so long as you follow the right path, the right instructions, the right da-da-da. So he wasn't wrong. Back then, the White Scars knew it, obviously and plainly, and they had a whole philosophy and a whole culture built around the storms and the winds and the storm. And he meant this, it means as much the storms of the Immaterium, the storms of the warp, the storms of the great ocean, Stormseers, path of heaven. Debates it with Ahriman, and Ahriman says, no, there is no risk, plunge as deep as you want. And Yengetsu says, how do you know? And he says, because Magnus told me so. Our Primarch has told us that there's no danger down there. And this is one of the things where Magnus did plenty wrong. Magnus is one of the few Primarchs that lied straight to his legion. He told them there is nothing to fear, when he knew the truth after making the pact with the demon, which took his eye and fixed the flesh change on his legion, so rescued the 1,000 sons, so there wasn't just 1,000. Long story. The flesh change that was going to cripple the 1,000 sons was stopped when they found Magnus, because Magnus made a deal with a demon and stopped the flesh change. And when they asked him about it, he said, yeah, it's fine. There are no demons down there. There's no... He lied to them about the threat of the warp. And so Ahriman has a big Barney about this after the breaking of Prospero on the planet of the sorcerers. He's like, and there's a story, and in this tower, and Magnus is, and Ahriman's like, you lied to us. It is dangerous. And he went, well, I was trying to keep you safe. My sons, he did plenty wrong. And yeah, and Yengetsu is having an argument that so, as Blood Buffalo says, maybe a Primarch already knew chaos. There is a Primarch that knew chaos. His name was the Khan. And one of the reasons why the Khan and the Emperor never got along, and this is the theme running through the Primarch novel The Khan, is you're lying to the whole of the Imperium. This imperial truth stuff is a lie, because it's not a lie. When they say that, the imperial truth, there are no gods. It's sort of a lie. It's not a lie, though. There are no gods, because the gods of the warp are not gods. But all we need is science, reason, get rid of all the old gods, and we'll be fine. And Khan was like, nah, but that's a piece of the truth. You also need to tell them about this bit as well. And the Emperor's like, nah, it'll be fine. And Khan is like, nah, it won't be fine. You need to tell him the imperial truth is half of the truth. The imperial truth is the roadmap to success. And the Khan believed that people needed to know just how bad it could be, as well as the roadmap to success. By the time after Ullanor, the Khan had completely fallen out with the Emperor and said, I hate you, Dad, and went rushing off on his own, which is why he was completely ignorant of the heresy, the Great Betrayal, when it happened, and why Horus and Mortarin and all of them thought, well, the Khan will definitely come on our side, because he was never close to the Emperor. He thought that the Emperor, not lying, but deliberately keeping the Imperium ignorant was a mistake. And what the Emperor should be doing instead was not keeping them ignorant. That's what the Khan believed. And he fell out with the Emperor by the time of the heresy, before the heresy, and buggered off. So to put Blood Buffalo's point, maybe there was a Primarch already knew Chaos. Maybe there was a Primarch like Magnus and the Khan who knew Chaos and manipulated it and used it in a deeper, more... There was maybe one of the Primarchs that failed the Oath of Moment bonding ceremony with the Emperor was a bit too chaosy, yes, and knew the truth, yes, in a way that, and then was involved with demonic entities in a way that Magnus would be later. Like the Emperor and Magnus were hanging out and chilling and chatting to each other before Magnus even left his gestation pod. He was floating around, and the Emperor says in Thousand Suns, he says, here's a line, don't cross it. Whatever you do, do not cross this line. And Magnus goes, okay. And he's talking to and then in the very next minute, he crosses the line. He's like, yeah, it's more of guidelines, isn't it? It's more of a guideline. It's not really hardcore. I'm going to cross it. But Emperor's like, don't do that. And he does it anyway. Maybe there was another one who's like, don't do that. And he does it anyway, and drunk from the cup. Even before the mind melding ceremony with the Emperor. Because Magnus did his blinding and saving the Thousand Suns a bit later. Yes. Do you think Chaos Primarch would have failed the oath or have been allowed to exist to exterminate the Orang? So the Rangdan genocides, there was 3 of them. The third Rangdan genocide. It took 3 attempts to get rid of these people. They were a Techno-Xenos race that were... Imagine Chaos Space Marines. So all we know is like full-on Chaos Xenos. Full-on. So, people like Chaos Tau or Chaos Eldar or Chaos Orcs. Imagine full-on Chaos Xenos species. That's what the Rangdan were, and it's the third Rangdan genocide with the help of the Alpha Legion. The Alpha Legion essentially had to come out of the shadows and announce themselves as a fully fledged legion to help the Dark Angels and the Space Wolves finally bring them to heel. So what was that? So I don't think they were allowed to... No, so it's not that they were allowed to exist. It's after the Emperor finds his sons, most of them are not given a legion straight away. Most of them spend time on Terra, spend time with their brothers. Like when Kurz was introduced to the Emperor. Dawn was there. Sanguinius was there. I think Valdor was there as well. There was a bunch of people there with him at the time. Hi, come back. And then go back to Terra, have a party, that sort of thing. I don't think he was allowed to... So we know what happened to the Rangdan. And we know that they're taken back to Terra to have a chat with old Dad. What could have happened was he wasn't obliterated, one of the failed Primarchs. He could have just been iced and stuck in a capsule and been put down below the Imperial Palace on Terra, and is there to this day. The Primarch could still be there. Yeah. The only Primarch that I can think of which wasn't given an Oath of Moment bonding brain ceremony with the Emperor is Angron. Because he wasn't given a choice. It was like, no, it's your legion, boom. You now work for me, and you're going to eat worlds. You do that. Magnus did nothing wrong, knowledge is power. Magnus did loads of things wrong. Right at the start, he lied to his entire legion. Told Ahriman, told the Thousand Sons that there was nothing to fear. No powerful, thinky, cerebral entities in the warp. Even though Ahriman had a debate with Yengetsu of the White Scars about it, and he was like, nah, even though despite the evidence that of their own knowledge, their own discoveries, their own debates, there's also a short story as well of an earlier short story where one of the Thousand Sons proposes that there are thinking creatures. I don't know how to frame it. And they are, and then they have a debate, and then this young acolyte is in, and all the other ones are around him like, prepare your stuff. Prepare. And he does his debate, his philosophical debate, saying, look, they're really nasty. God, let's call them gods in the warp, and this is how I have proven it. And then the older ones around him, including Amit and people like that, are like, no, because if that's the truth, then this contradicts Magnus's teachings. So are you telling us that the Primarch's a liar? And then Magnus turns up, and then he has to debate it versus Magnus. He lied to them. Magnus did nothing wrong, apart from lying to his entire legion about the nature of the power they were using. Apart from that, I think it'd be cool if the Lost Primarchs were just stuck in a hibernation pod and uncovered in 40k. I think enough of the mystery solved is that they should do something with them. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the mystery isn't really... This is deep level lore, guys. Not a lot of people. Like little Timmy starts on the Horus Heresy journey. He doesn't know about Night Lords and Slanesh Wamboobies. That's not on the box art. They start off with Eldar and Orcs, oh my. And then they find out about the Horus Heresy. And then they find out about the Primarchs. And then they debate what happened to the two missing Primarchs. And I mean, this level of lore has only really been hammered out in the last couple. This is deep cuts from Talky Tuesday live stream with me, your host, Winters SEO. Anyway, I've been banging on for way over an hour and a half now. So this is your 2-minute warning. I need to wrap it up. I'm running out of water, running low on the water, and you've got to flush yourself. I've got leftover vegetable noodles downstairs. Rather looking forward to getting my teeth on that. Thank you everyone who dropped into the live stream this evening. Thank you Blood Buffalo for 3 separate donations. The only person who donated all evening was you, 3 times, delivering rain out in Buffalo, Merca. So thank you for coming, particularly. Oh dear. Bye Badger King. Thanks for yeah. I mean, it used to be a complete mystery though. Now we know one was exterminated by the Space Force and the further the Earth feel like they keep the drip feeding us. I mean, I mean, now we know X and Y because of really obscure comments in the Horus Heresy. One of them in one book, and the other one a drip, drip, drip here. This is how heresy law evolves. And then what happens is, this is how the whole law evolves: a drip here, drip here, drip here, drip here. And then in 10 years' time, they decide to codify it and say, oh, that stuff is bullshit. Actually, this is what happened over here. So what we know is the truth now might not be the truth. But it is the truth for now. Sometimes they codify it later. Sometimes they never get back to it. But this is all we know for now. Quick on Winters, what's the meaning of life? Don't be an arsehole. Mainly, it's just don't be an arsehole. Try and be a good person. If we live in a meaningless universe, if we are all just bits of stars and atoms, if you're religious, then your religion will give you your meaning. It will tell you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, where you're going, where you're from. And that's the meaning for you. If you're not religious and you believe that we live in an uncaring, infinite universe and that we're just bits of stardust and nothing has any meaning at all, then the only meaning that we put on the universe is the meaning that comes out of ourselves and the meanings that we take with us. And what is meaningful to you? What is good for you? What is good for the people around you, as opposed to bad? Because bad will kill you. What's bad for you, what's bad for the people around you, will kill you in the end. So the only thing that has any meaning is the things that will sustain you and keep you going through life. And those are the good things in life. Love, hugs, truth, justice, the American way, coffee in the morning. Don't be an arsehole. Try not to talk about politics or religion around your family. Try to be generous. Try to help people. Try to be the best person you can be. Be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you were today. Yeah. Try not to be a Night Lord. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Thanks for summing that up. Happy wargaming.